Hey guys, this is Chewies55 and I'm going to be bringing a tutorial here on using BetterDs3 to use your PlayStation 3 controller on your PC without having to deal with all the nonsense of motion and joy, even though you still need it for this tutorial. So anyways, we're just going to get right to it. I'm not going to even bother trying to explain other nonsense, so let's get to this. Anyways, you're going to need to go to, wrong icon, I'm listening. You're going to have to go to emotionandjoy.com. I'll put a link in the description for the download page. And you're going to want to get the newest version, which is 0.7.1000, which is this one here. And you're going to click this one, this little icon here. We're up. It says Site 1 because it's 32-bit and 64-bit all in one. You're going to want to use that. So click Site 1 here. It'll be downloading. I don't know why I just did that because I already have the file, but you already downloaded that, right? So once you have that file, you're going to want to open it up, which is a WinRAR file. So you'll need something like WinZip or WinRAR, like I'm using here, or some kind of packaging utility or unzipping utility. I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. And you'll be presented with this little icon here, or this application. So you double click it and run it. It'll tell you do you want to install, blah, 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 all that nonsense. You're going to want to go to next. Pick a destination. There's really no need to change that. And just finish installing. And you see this icon here. You're going to want to uncheck this. So uncheck it, finish. It'll take you to the website for some reason. Don't pay attention to it because it's not important. You can close out that. And you're presented with this. Now at this point you want to plug in your PS3 controller, which I'm going to do right now, if I can find my cord. I'm not going to show how to plug in a controller because I'm pretty sure most people know how, because, well, common sense. Where the hell's the slot?
Hello?
Alright, I'm plugging that in. Now when you do this, since, Windows automatically installs drivers, you'll see a little box down here. It'll say installing drivers. Let that finish. Mine's already been done, but let that finish. And then when that's done, go ahead and open up DS3 tool. Oh my, and it's taking me for some reason to this. I didn't want to go there, but okay. See, that's the problem with Motion and Joy. There's just so many advertisements. But anyways, you're going to skip all this nonsense. And you'll see this tab here as a driver manager. Alright, you see that? You click this little icon here. The check mark where it says port. And that's whatever USB port you're using. So, right now I'm using a wired. Or I'm using the USB cable to plug in to my PC. You can use Bluetooth, but you need a compatible Bluetooth adapter. I was going to say YouTube for some reason, but you need a compatible Bluetooth adapter and yeah, all that nonsense. I don't know how that works. There's tutorials elsewhere for that, but this is how to use the USB version. So you're going to want to pick a port and leave the cord plugged in there, because every time you unplug it and put it in a different port, USB port, it'll want to install drivers again. You have to go through the step all over again. So leave it in the port you want to continue to use, or you can unplug it anytime you want, but you could just make sure to always plug it back into the first, or to the port that you were using. Double click load driver. And it'll do its thing. You'll see something right here, and it'll say load driver completed down here. So that's all you need to do about this, and here's what I do, because I want everything to be the way I want it to be. And you can see all this nonsense. Looks pretty intimidating, but this I'll set to 1. So when you click default, well, let me set this one to 1 as well. When you click default, it puts these all to 1, which means you don't have to press the button as far. I guess it's similar to like a dead zone in a way, but the right stick you might want to put to 5, but I'm going to leave this at 1. None of this is really important because you're not really going to use this afterwards, so close this out. And you can uninstall that if you wish, but you don't have to. But I keep them both just in case something goes wrong, so I recommend keeping them both. And now you're going to want to get what we're here for, which is BetterDs3. So go to BetterDs3, whatever this is in Google, or I'll put a link as well for the download. You can see it tells you the requirements here. So you'll need the .NET 3.5 for Windows, which is, well, that is a Windows file, so I don't know what the hell I'm talking about again. Obviously Motion and Joy driver, the one I just showed you, and that's pretty much all you need. So you click the big old fat download button. I'm not gonna do that because I already did. Close that one too. So when you have that downloaded, it'll open up in another WinRAR WinZip file. And this you can drag to your desktop because it's a non-installing exe, so you don't have to worry about installing it. So once you have that drag there, double click on it, and you'll hear that little noise there. So now you see this screen here when you open it up. Your driver should already be loaded from DS3 tool. And basically configures the same way as DS3 tool with no advertisements, doesn't need to be connected to the internet, none of that nonsense. So we'll click new to get started here. We'll click new, and here you have 4 options. Now the PCSX2, I believe, is for the PCSX2 emulator. If you want to use that, it's already set, don't have to do anything. I haven't tested it yet because I haven't really used this program with that program yet, which I have installed over here. But keyboard and mouse would be the same as direct input. Now direct input is just what your PS3 is. Your PS3 controller is reading as. You know, it's what it should be. All the buttons should be what they're labeled, but you have to configure them yourself. But keyboard and mouse lets you assign keyboard keys and mouse to, say, an analog stick or a button. And X input is what Xbox 360 controllers use. But anyways, we're gonna go ahead and for the people that need assistance with their iRacing, I use this controller for iRacing, so I'll show them my, I guess, setup for iRacing. So you'll click direct input, and you'll be presented with this. Looks pretty intimidating. Now you can set all these as is, you know, you can go buttons 1 through whatever, but you can set the triggers as well, which are an axis, which you click on this side where it says analog. Their axis is down here. You can pick from all of these, but mainly I use, I think, RY negative for the left trigger, and a slider positive for the right trigger. But, well, don't look at any of this. I'll show you my actual profile that I use. So I'll click this, and you'll see I have an iRacing and Assetto Corsa, you know, profile, and it's the exact same as direct input. It's a mouse and keyboard profile though, so all this is exactly the same. If you don't want to use, you know, a keyboard key, it's exactly the same as direct input. I just put a keyboard key on R1 for escape because that's what I need to get out of the car on iRacing. So here's all my settings. I'll leave it there so you can look at it. If not, pause. Actually, go ahead and pause that if you want to continue looking at it. I'm going to scroll down to go to the other part of this. So there's the other settings that I have. As you can see, it's a keyboard mouse mapping, so make sure that's checked when you pick your, you know, when you go to new or whatever. And here, these will be enabled sometimes. You know, the 6-axis tilt, you can turn that off because it's really annoying if you don't want it to work on you. All this I leave alone, and then you just click save profile, which I'll apply that right now. And if you want to set up an Xbox 360, I'll show you that as well. You want to go to new, and then click Xbox 3 or X input, and then click edit. You can name it whatever you want. I named it Xbox 360. You can click over here. You don't see on the other settings, so you'll see autofill, and click Xbox 360, and it sets all the buttons in the correct locations for you. You don't have to do a thing except for what I did here on the edges. For the analog digital threshold, I set to 1% like I did on the DS3 tool, all the way to the analog sticks. Now the right analog stick, I'll set to 5%, because sometimes it'll want to wander itself, you know, move on its own for like some games like shooters or whatever, but that's what I set for this. And you can click save profile. Same thing applies for the whole iRacing settle cores. I'll go back to that because I kind of skipped it. And I have 1% for all the sticks, except for the right stick. I have a 10%. Because I don't want it accidentally triggering a command I have on the right stick, which are set as buttons. And another one I have set for G Motor 2 games because for some reason it will not register right on my R Factor and GameStop card. It's really weird. So I use another separate profile. It's not really important, but it uses the X input like Xbox 360. So say if you want to, let's pick my usual, go back to my iRacing one once again, and you can see I have this checked right here. It says automatically apply to controllers when connected. So you want to check that if you want a main profile always to set itself up. So when you open this program, it'll automatically set your first profile to what it is, and then you can just close it out so you don't have to pick. And if you want to check if it's working, you can click Control Panel. And it'll say Motion Enjoy Virtual Game Driver. That's what you want to click on. Click Properties. And you can see here's my left analog stick. My L1 button, which is also the same as my circle button. There's a D-pad. Yeah, right analog stick will be buttons, so there we go. And the trigger should be a slider. Nope, wrong one. The other one's slider. There we go. There you go, there's your settings. That's how you make sure it works. Always click Control Panel if you want to make sure. Then you click Applied or whatever. Well, you always click Apply first, then check your Control Panel settings. So it don't really matter. So those are mainly my two profiles. Here's what I use for everything. This is a 360 controller, so it should make a noise every time you change to a different profile. As you can hear right there. But I'm going back to my iRacing profile.
Hello.
You can hear it connect and disconnect now. What happens is if you're using your PS3 controller and it's actually connected to a PS3, or set up for a PS3, on Bluetooth, when you unplug it without clicking the disconnect button, it'll turn your PlayStation on. So that's just a heads up when you want to say take this controller off your PC and go to the PlayStation, you can just unplug it, or if you just want to unplug the controller to get out of the way and you don't want your PlayStation to turn on, just click disconnect and it'll disconnect everything. So those were my settings. This is a tutorial for all that. If you have any questions, comment below or anywhere. Whoever requested this not profile tutorial. And I also had another tutorial on how to use DS3 tool for Motion Enjoy, but that's completely obsolete now, so don't even worry about that tutorial. So hopefully I'll have more of any other kind. Just random request. Subscribe, you'll get what you wish. Click over here to subscribe for future videos. Anyways, enough about ranting. This has been ChewySide55.